All right, welcome back. Thank you so much for staying with us. I want us to shift gears now and talk matters life insurance. This is something that a lot of Kenyans, or a section of Kenyans rather, are quite reluctant about. So we want to find out why and how important is life insurance for you, why you should take it. We want to talk to Sanlam Allianz after their rebrand. This was formerly Sanlam Kenya PLC. The CEO is here, that is Jacqueline Karashe, CEO and Principal Officer, Sanlam Allianz Life Insurance Kenya, to tell us more about the rebrand and just life insurance in general, why you should take it. So we do welcome you to be part of this conversation on our socials, TV47 Kenya, on Facebook and on YouTube and on X, TV47 Digital. You can tag me as well if you do have a question for the CEO here at _Odida. Karibu sana to Morning Cafe, CEO.
Thank you.
You're well?
I'm well, thank you.
Tell us about life insurance. Why is it important?
Thanks, Anne, for this session and for this morning, and to all our viewers watching. So the fundamentals of life insurance, I think we just go back to the pyramid of life, and you know the basic needs that the needs of any human being. So there's the basic needs. We'll need food, shelter, clothing. But once those needs are met, then we go into the softer needs that really drive us, our families, the need for a comfortable life, for protection, and for that assurance that even if something happens that is unforeseen, then you are well catered for, you know, so that's safety net. And we all really just aspire to do that, and that's why a lot of people work on a day-to-day basis.
Right.
So life insurance really basically gives people that safety net. That yes, everything is going as planned, but if something unforeseen happens to me, there's a net on which I can fall back on, and I will be catered for in terms of protection. Yes.
So life insurance uptake in the country is still quite low.
Yes.
Of course, a lot of Kenyans are still quite skeptical when we're talking about life insurance. I don't know if it's how we've been cultured, or you know, we fear talking about things like death and whatnot. So that clearly shows something hasn't really connected when we're talking about providers of life insurance. So where would you say there is a gap exactly?
Yes, so you're quite right on. The biggest gap first starts with the low awareness. There's a lot of misunderstanding really about insurance, even before you're narrowing into life insurance. Most people relate insurance to their motor insurance or their car insurance that they have to buy because government, you know, or the law mandates you to have. But generally there's a low awareness. And secondly, also the mistrust that comes with. What does it mean? Because you see, unlike other products or services that you purchase real time and you enjoy them real time, life insurance is a long-term product and solution. So, and that's why we are here, and that's why we take these opportunities to educate people on the importance of it and what it really, entails, and why it is important for everyone to have an insurance of any element. Yes, yes.
And I'm being told by my director that I've been butchering is Allianz.
Yes, Allianz.
I've been saying Allianz. Allianz.
Allianz, Sanlam Allianz.
All
yes,
right.
Yes.
So when we're looking at this group who are very skeptical, you know, about cases of murder, we've heard of these cases where people are murdered because somebody took life insurance for them.
Right.
So for people who are quite anxious about, you know, these stories that we've seen, then how are you convincing first-time buyers to just take life insurance? And I'm asking this from, you know, the Sanlam Allianz perspective.
Yes. Okay. So, I mean, first, there's always a lot of, you know, stories that can come through, but let's look at the data and the statistics. So you're right. You said the penetration rate in Kenya for insurance, it's around 2%. And narrowing it down to life insurance particularly, it's below even 1%. To put that context into numbers, if you strip off, in fact, if you put everyone together, I think we have close to 3 million Kenyans who are covered in terms of insurance in one way or another. Yeah. Now, compare it to our population, which is 20 million that are, you know, active and working. That tells you the protection gap. Yeah. So then they come to the second thing of, why should I take insurance? And if I take insurance, will someone kill me? The first reason why you would take insurance is to look at what is it that is within your control and what is it that is without your control. I always say the partakers of life insurance are people who have dependents. That's the person who should, if you have anyone depending on you today, you need to consider and think about the insurance solutions that you have. So that means if you have a spouse or a partner, if you have children, if you have parents depending on you, anyone within our society. Now, when we look at Kenya, let's narrow it down to Kenya, we're a very codependent society. It's rare where you can say, I will live by myself, whatever happens to anyone else, I'm not involved. We are really social and we're very integrated in our social networks. So the reason why then the fear should drop off is because, one, you take insurance first to cater for the needs of those people that are depending on you. And I always tell people, ask yourself today, if you're not here, like if you're a parent, if today for a reason you're not here, or even if you're here but you're unable to work, and we've seen if you fall sick and are unable to show up to work today, or you're unable to do the work that you do on a day-to-day basis, what is the safety net? We have faith, we pray a lot, but beyond that, what will be that thing that you fall onto? So beyond the fears and a lot of what did I call it? You know, there's a lot of speculation about it. The people who've benefited from this really supersede, you know, the few criminal cases that you'd say, as you have raised. And so for us, it's to say, if you have a dependent, if you have someone that you're depending upon, take that proactive step to say, I will take, and it's not just for death, by the way, Anne. I think a lot of people also imagine that I only get insured when I think I'm gonna die. No. There's a lot that you can get. You can get protection from critical illnesses. We've seen a spike in cases like cancer and whatnot. You take an additional cover that in the event that something happens, then you are protected. You take for your child's education savings. That's something that has been debated a lot online. Whether insurance products really can cater to your child's education savings. We do insure close to 500,000 customers who we are providing these solutions for, and they are able to pay for, right, like now, when you go to high school or uni, then you're able to pay for your child's education. You're able to cater for your retirement. Again, you haven't died, but you have planned. So it's really not just about the death, it's all about the planning. But as you're planning, we're saying in the event of something unforeseen happen, then we're there for you.
All right.
Yes.
Now we have this other group who
Yes.
says, mbona na insure na sina mtu. And that's the exact words. I was in the streets one time and I was asking, people in the streets, uko na life insurance? And this very lovely lady asked me, mbona nichukue life insurance na sina mtu? You're talking about sometimes it's good to take life insurance just to be on the lookout for somebody who's looking up to you.
Yes.
But now for these people,
yes,
mwenye hawana mtu.
And that's why I said it's not even just about the death part. So if you look at the products that we do offer, they do span between protection, they do span to savings, investments, and then retirement planning, pensions, basically. So for that one, ambaye hana mtu, I trust you me, they want to retire. And nowadays, we are not even calling it retirement. You're calling it you want to repurpose your life. Because basically what you're saying, you don't want to work till you're 60, then you go back to the village and you're wondering what to do. People want to, I want to work for 10, 15 years, and then I want to do some travel the world. Young people, they want to experience what they are passionate about. That the insurance products give you that too. And you see, the thing about the added advantage is, for the younger people, you have short-term, immediate needs, you have medium-term needs, and you have long-term needs. And in financial planning, I always say, always look for a product that locks your money, especially for your long-term needs. I don't know if you do a random check, and you go back to the streets, you know, like the money market, unit trusts are very popular. And we do provide them at Sanlam Allianz through our Investment East Africa company. They have become very popular. The growth has just been phenomenal, and people have just adopted to the money market, you know, trend. But that, I always say, money market products are for your short-term to medium-term needs. Why? It's easily accessible. Today, it's Sherehe December, we want to go to Naivasha, I don't have some cash, I just go to my app, I withdraw, I go. So it's good, yes, you have planned the year, and it's now for your enjoyment. But now think about, if I want to save something for 10 years down the line, and a lot of people say, why would I do that and I'm not here? But 10 years is such a short time, yeah? Find a product where you lock in and it helps you with the discipline of accessibility. And as you do that, you're also protecting yourself. Because hata kama hauna mtu, the realities of life. As I said, there are issues that come to us as individuals. I always say, unfortunately in Kenya, we are one sickness away from poverty. You're one diagnosis away from your life being shifted forever. So what happens if today you walk into a doctor's room and they say, unfortunately, you have a critical or chronic illness? And then the medical covers are limited to a certain limit, you see? So it really does need to sit down and look at your needs and the gaps that you have, and then think about the insurance solution.
All right, as we continue with this conversation on why, you know, just convincing Kenyans why life insurance is important,
Yes.
I want you to shed some light on the fundamentals as to why the rebrand from Sanlam Kenya PLC to now Sanlam Allianz was quite important. Which gaps were you trying to, you know, fill when you're rebranding from Sanlam Kenya to Sanlam Allianz?
Okay, thanks. First, Sanlam, I would call it's a capability unlock, yeah? Sanlam is an African giant by itself in terms of insurance matters. We have been in this continent for over 100 years and basically spanning over 26 markets now. And if there was an insurance company, if there's an insurance company that understands Africa, it is Sanlam because of that, that base and understanding the African customer. Then now we have Allianz. Allianz is the #1 global insurer across the world. When you look at the ranking of the top 10 insurers in the world, Allianz then is #1, yeah? Again, with a legacy of over 100 years and a lot of expertise, capabilities, but you know, Africa is a new frontier for them. So this joint venture, Sanlam Allianz then, gives a fantastic opportunity because then two experts, two insurance giants coming together and saying that we see an opportunity in Africa, we see an opportunity in Kenya, and we want to really bring those solutions home. You hear a lot the government talking about one of the things that they want to do is to increase savings uptakes within the country, to mobilize savings from Kenyans, for the betterment of the people, but also for development. Insurance is a fantastic tool. The low penetration in Kenya then says there's a huge opportunity for insurance and uptake here. So Sanlam Allianz is then saying that we want to come here and do things differently so that we are able to give Kenyans a different experience from what they're used to in terms of insurance matters. Yeah.
The issue of affordability is also a concern.
Yes.
And I don't know how Sanlam you're coming in to just try and leverage it for everyone just to be able to afford life insurance, medical insurance. How are you doing it for them?
Yeah, you're right. So one of the reasons also why you know we've alluded to the low uptake is the issue of affordability. And so core to our plan and strategy is that our product approach, our solutions to our customers has to be very different. So traditionally, insurance was structured for a very formal economy or a formal sector.
Right.
So, and that's why it resonates a lot with the employed, you know, who have a constant income. But what we have done is we have started, you know, product innovation around flexible products, digital. that you can access it anywhere, and actually simplifying the language that you're using. So one of the things that we've done, for example, with our products and our design teams, they said, I alluded to a bit earlier, we were developing a product for pension. And they said, we're not going to call this a pension product because not everyone works and retires at 60. We all have different aspirations. And so we repackaged it, we called it the Akiba Plus, for example, a digital product available even on USSD, and you can save as low as 500 shillings. So a boda rider who's saying, you know what, I don't want to ride a boda for the rest of my life, but I can set aside some money. And we help with that, what the element I was saying, locking it, so that it's not accessible immediately. But 10 years later, that 500 will mean something to that person, right? So that accessibility, simplifying the language, and just being able to demystify that it's not some big, item you're taking. It's actually something that you need, and here we are meeting that need. So we are looking at that, closing the gap in terms of affordability and innovation. Yes.
Talk to us about your demographic. You know, you've mentioned something quite interesting, that for a very long time we've associated insurance with the formal salaried people.
Yes.
But the informal sector has around 80% of the workforce in this country. Then how is your demographic like? What are you targeting?
So that's the very interesting, and because that is, you see that 80% that you've talked about, that is the main segment you're targeting. But let me just narrow it down a bit further. So if you look at if you look at what I call the bullseye of Kenya's demographic, we have the less than 1%, the high net worth. Then you have the 5 to 6%, the formal employed. Then we have around 25% who are informal. And then the rest, the 70% or so, are, in the outer circle. So you will realize that the 5% and the 25%, the formally and informally employed, really are the ones that support the rest of the country. So if I just take an example, if you're running a business in Nairobi, you're likely to be, you're likely to have dependents of children, your parents, some brothers who don't have jobs, So the dependence per individual is very high, So our focus area is now to shift from the formal to the informal sector, who really are the ones who the majority of the population depend upon. We've done a bit of research. Every person who receives an income, they set aside around 20 to 30% for sending money back home for one reason or another. In the diaspora, it's even higher. Kenyans who are living in diaspora are sending much more back home because they are working for their dependents, the majority of Kenyans, the 70%. And so for that reason, if to look at then the products and solutions that then would work for this who have dependents is, in case my mother is sick in the village, I do not want to go back to my pocket. There's an insurance product you can take. In case I lose a relative, there's a funeral product that then can step in. So insurance then, to shift that conversation towards, it's really actually to help you with that whole dependency problem. As I said, most Kenyans, we're just one calamity away from poverty. If you have an illness in your family, it drains everyone. When insurance steps in, then it really mitigates. That's really what we're trying to do in terms of shifting our demography and hence building products that help the working Kenyan to support those who are back at home.
Amazing. The criminal cases we were talking about, like the fear that Kenyans have when it comes to people being murdered just because of life insurance. How are you doing it at Sanlam just to ensure that you're doing due diligence such that when somebody is giving their next of kin, their life is not in danger? Are you doing any due diligence, or what are you doing?
So first, in insurance, we have what we call, you can't just come and take insurance for anyone. There's what we look at that is the insurable interest. So, for example, I cannot come meet Anne for the first time, then go back to the insurance company and say, I want to take a 10 million cover for Anne, who is not related to me. So the insurable interest is the first layer in which we check. is there any connection that would make you to take insurance for this person? So that's why you find that people take insurance for their loved ones, for their spouses, for their children and whatnot, yeah? So that's the first layer of it. But the second thing also is that when you have taken up the insurance and say, for example, there is a claim or something like that, then there's obviously the due diligence in terms of the underlying causes of death. We do investigate, we will check, and if there's any evidence of criminality, then obviously that is not payable. Yeah. But as I said, again, a lot of these policies that we have, they're those that actually do pay out whether you are dead or not. You will get a benefit. So it really removes that whole issue of why would somebody just take? Because whether you're here or not, then there's a benefit that is always paid out. But generally, we see that. And I must say, the cases are in between, here and there. We don't see such, personally in my career, and I've worked in insurance for over 20 years, I've not interacted any, but they are there. And whenever they do happen, then, you know, a criminal process follows. But the underlying principles of insurance, there has to be an insurable interest with the person that you're taking with, yeah.
So would you say, of course, as your capacity as a CEO, and I know you've been in the industry for a very long time, would you say that as of 2025, that the industry has been able to just gain the trust that the public demands with regard to life insurance?
I must say that we've made some very good progress. And I will also say that a lot of Kenyans now are also understanding, first, just the basics of financial planning and financial solutions that are available to them. And the feedback that we keep getting is, can we get products that speak to this need? Before, it was, don't talk to me about insurance, who said I'm gonna die. But now there's much more acceptance around it. So I call it the financial literacy of Kenyans has generally gone up, and insurance, then you're seeing a lot of, even if you look at the industry as a whole, there are a lot of you know, mergers, there are a lot of acquisitions, there are a lot of even banks coming into this space, telcos coming into this space, and that's telling you that there's an appreciation of insurance now amongst Kenyans. So we are really at, and I mean, our merger then has just come at a right time, because we're ripe for the growth that then we would anticipate in our country.
All right. So, of course, we are seeing financial cycles are changing, retirement realities are also here with us. How are you shifting now these products to address these needs, the current financial cycle and, of course, retirement needs?
So I always say that all of us, we have in our financial journeys, there are 3 key stages. So we have the accumulation stage, then we have the protection stage, then you have your transfer stage. And at Sanlam Allianz, what we have done is to curate solutions for all those stages. This person who's accumulating does not have 1 million shillings to invest, but earns 2,000 shillings, 3,000 a week. So how do we help them accumulate? That is, you know, the products that we have given for such, yeah? Then once they have accumulated, they have started getting into settling down, they get a family, they're getting children, they, you know, they want to now really protect what they have accumulated. For most Kenyans, actually, if you're employed, you start your side hustle, you start getting to business, you see. So now that's a whole point of, I have now accumulated 1 million, 2 million, 3 million. What do I do with this money so that I don't, it builds me for tomorrow? And so the protection stage also comes in, protecting these children and all the family that you're building. Then now there's the wealth transfer, and that's when you are now in retirement. So you have accumulated wealth, you have protected it, you have retired with an income. How do you transfer that to the next generation? And can we talk about transfer? Because, you know, we all, especially for our generations, I think right now, we've really inherited a lot of, you know, debt, you know, land issues, land tussles at home. A lot of people really just do struggle to get their footing up. And if you really want to rewrite the story of your family. I always tell people, plan for your next generation. Don't work so hard and then it all comes to naught. And without planning, that is easily happen. So insurance actually can help you transfer wealth. You can Google and see wealthy families, the Rockefeller families and such like. They use insurance as a tool of wealth transfer. So the assets in their families are never touched. So the patriarch passes on, an insurance policy pays out, it's divided to their beneficiaries, and they continue. Is it possible? Yes, you can. You don't need to be a billionaire, but plan. So I always say that, yeah, let's look at the accumulation, protect, transfer, and insurance helps you to do that.
Amazing.
Yeah.
How about people who think, you know, sometimes it's just too early for me to take life insurance? I know that is something that you need to demystify for us.
Yeah.
But how early is early when you're planning to take life insurance?
I always say the moment you start getting an income of any sort, then get a life insurance. Why? Number one, the younger you are, the cheaper it is for you. Yeah, it's very affordable. If you take it at a younger stage, right? The second is, again, going back to financial planning, never discount the value of time. We were doing a scenario planning with this new tool we have. It's the Akiba Plus. It's actually a tool you can actually put in and see if I put in 3,000 shillings a month for 15 years at an interest rate of 10%, what would that mean? And you would not believe it or not, you can easily accumulate 9 million if you start at 20, 25 years. It's just 3,000, 5,000 month. Discipline, don't touch it, lock it away. Now, if you woke up 15 years later and ask someone to give you 9 million, they'd probably look at you, you're crazy. What am I saying? The younger you are, the advantage of youth is time. Yeah, the advantage of youth is time. But also in money investment matters, time and interest is also the advantage of any investor. So it's never too young for you to start. There are also other incentives that are in there. For example, there are a lot of tax benefits that the government has allowed for life insurance. Life insurance is one of the few products where they're tax-free. Yeah, so for any benefits that you get through, you will not be taxed. So what do you do with that information? You can actually be able to accumulate more and leverage on the tax benefits that are coming through. Pensions has tax relief. You can use that to actually accumulate more. So start now. I always say, but you know, there's always that phase where you start getting an income, you want to enjoy life, wambia mwili pole for all the hard life you've gone through uni and whatnot. But yeah, don't stretch it too much. Once you get a stable income, even if it's 1,000, it will mean a lot. Yeah.
So kuna kitu kama it's too early to start.
It's never too early to start.
All right. I want you to address something on civil servants more in-depthly.
Yes.
Where do you see the biggest protection gap for these people who, civil servants rather, who rely heavily on pension and National Health Insurance Fund, that is now maybe the Social Health Insurance Fund? Yes. Then what is the biggest protection gap?
I think for civil servants, the biggest protection gap comes in income replacement. And let me just define that, is that you see, government is a very stable employer. And so once you're employed by government, you know you're almost employed for life. But then what happens when you're out of work? Yeah. Now, when you look at the NSSF, until recently, it was not really designed to sustain income post-retirement. So for most of actually civil servants right now, they have a pension gap. Now, for those that were paid by government, you know, if you understand how pension, before they set up the PSSF fund, it would be that it would be paid from taxpayers. So we were funding pension from taxpayer money, which was also very creating a strain on government. So basically then that's why you'd find that civil servants would have had this legacy of working for 30 years, 40 years for government, then go into old age poverty. Yeah. And so for me, that's one of the biggest gaps that I see. Then the second now is obviously even just in terms of the ability to save. So again, looking at the way now, the realities of anyone who's formally working, the deductions from our payslips have really gone up. Yeah, so an average civil servant probably who was earning a net pay, 4 or 5 years ago, because of all the additional deductions of housing levy, of pension and NSSF, you'll find that their earnings have declined. So then there is need for them to then, for any civil person who's a civil servant, to really relook at their financial planning strategy, and also look at how is it that they can accumulate, even with the little that they have, to especially secure the protection for retirement. Yes.
All right, CEO, as we come to the tail end of this conversation, talk to us about the legacy that you want this rebrand to leave on the insurance industry in the country.
At the core of it is our customer, and for me, the vision, the legacy that really I would want that we leave is that our customers, 2 years, 5 years down the line, will say Sanlam Allianz really came through for me when I needed them most, and have had an impact in my life. That's at the core of everything that we do, our customers. So whether it's a claim that we pay, whether it's a promise that we meet, whether it's that coming in at the time of need, that's really the ambition that we have. And through that, then we transform lives. Through that, we really then change the impact of maybe a child who was not going to be able to go to school now is able to go to school because of us. So really that is the vision, and to enable really Kenyans to live with confidence. Yeah.
Okay, so what will you use to judge the success of the products that you offer?
What do I?
What will you use to measure the success of these products that you offer?
Again, customer, the customers. Because I always say that, there are immediate measures. You can see your numbers going up, you can see profit, you can see all that. But at the heartbeat of our brand should be, our desire is that the customers can confidently say that this Sanlam Allianz really has come through for me. Right. That will be the measure of success.
All right, thank you so much. That is Jacqueline Karasha, CEO and Principal Officer, Sanlam Allianz Life Insurance Kenya. Thank you so much for speaking to us about life insurance and telling us why this is important for each and every person. It's never too early to start. Asante sana, CEO.
Thank you, Anne.
All right, that brings us to the end of this conversation. But once again, we are plugging you to Fun City Gardens Utawala for an array of activities. They offer birthday parties, indoor games, outdoor games, Fun City mascots, restaurant, amusement park, venue for events, and much more, as you can see on your screen. And the number to contact is there as well, 07222 38 883. Just to get that right, the question we are asking this morning is who are you taking to Fun City Gardens Utawala to win yourself a voucher to that particular garden to celebrate your loved one this festive season? Once again, that number 07222 389 88. Fun City Gardens Utawala. 3 reasons you should visit Fun City this weekend. Unlimited outdoors games at only 1,100 Kenyan shillings, swimming at 300 shillings, mascots and delicious food from as low as 150 shillings. Thank you so much for staying with us. That brings us to the end of this segment. My name is Anne Odida. Good morning.